I cry for my city that no longer exists, for a people that suffers, for a land that is destroyed, for men who have gone mad, for the dead animals. I cry because the only sound that I hear are the whistles of bullets, the exploding of bombs and the bazooka strikes that alternate with screams, weeping, crying, and death litanies. I cry because I have no future, because the smell of death scares me. I cry because I do not want my hope to die. In 1994, I ended Lontano da Mogadiscio with these words: "For 22 years, I've hoped that the world would come to an end and that everything would flourish again. In my dark moments, I asked myself if Mogadiscio, the city where I was born, bred, got married and became a mother, really existed, or if it was my memory that was betraying me."
jacayl baan dhex muquurayaa miraalihiisii midigtaygu qaadiyo mawjad baa isiga
I left Somalia in 1971, so it's a long, long time that I've been away from Somalia. But Somalia is always in my heart. My childhood memories are, I think, one of the treasures that I have in my life that keeps me going on and made me what I am today, is growing up in Mogadishu, in a city where was peaceful, where everybody was called auntie and uncle, where I had the best time of my life. And I fall in love, I got married, my daughter was born there, and when she was 2 months old only, I had to leave. So Mogadishu is everything for me. I was complete in a way. I was very young, but in a way I was already a woman when I left Mogadishu also. I had all my memories gathered together, and in my little suitcase, everything was in there for me. It was very multicultural. The houses were all white. The streets didn't have a lot of cars, but a lot of Vespa. You know, people were driving Vespa, Italian motors, Vespa. And we used to go to school with white uniforms. It was very peaceful. We used to go to the beach. I have beautiful memories of Mogadishu. We used to play outside as kids in our neighborhood. Everything was so normal, and we used to go a lot to the cinema. We didn't have movies, TV. But the cinema was, Mogadishu was full of cinemas, Cinema Centrale, Cinema Hamar, Cinema Hoden. So every night almost we used to go to watch a movie, and it was in open air. So when you get bored, you just look at the sky and you see all these stars, you know, and you feel the breeze also. It was something that you cannot describe. There was no city like Mogadishu, really, really, really. I've traveled a lot, and I think Mogadishu is unique. I left Mogadishu because in 1969, when after the coup of General Siad Barre, he started nationalizing many companies that were Italians, like Fiat Company and the banks. So as foreigners, say is a foreigner, because my father is Pakistani and my husband is half Italian citizen, you know, we had to leave. My last memory of Mogadishu is the airport. I always remember the old airport, and you know, when the plane was taking off, you know, all the colors and the dunes. I remember the dunes. There were these dunes of sand. I remember that a lot, and the sound in the in the airplane, and the people were so quiet, and I was looking at them, and there were so many people who were leaving like us, because it was a special plane. It was a plane sent by Italians to take back the Italian migrants, the Italian refugees, because we were recognized as Italian refugees. It's unbelievable, but that was the reality in those days. And I was watching everybody, and there was this very old couple also, not only young people who were leaving Somalia. And everybody was quiet, and you could feel it was like a funeral in a way. It was not there was no happiness. We were not going for a vacation. We were not going for just to have a good time. We were just going. Bismillah ar-Rahman. We were going forever maybe. And I said, inshallah, I will go back to Somalia. And I never went back.
markaaye waxaan lahaa sanadkaanay dhammaanay ayaa halkan waxay ii gaartay 27 sano inaan halkan aan joogo. muddo 30 sano in ka badan ayaan wadnaa oo cilmi baaristaan oo ku saabsan af Soomaaliga. Soomaaliyan ku bilaabnay markaan macallin aan ka ahaa jaamacadda jaamacadda ummadda Soomaaliyeed oo xamar ku tiilay. meeshaasoo macallin aan ka ahaa ayaan hawshaan cilmi baarista aan ku bilaabnay. markii aan dagaalkii u dhacayna aan halkaan imid meeshaan ka sii waday. yacni inta aan wadnay cilmi baarista aan wadnay markii la gaaray ma aragtay aniga waxaan isla wadnay gaar ahaan aniga professoresa Anarita Bulyeli ayaan muddo fara badan in ka badan 30 sano aan wadnay oo haddaba ku dhow 40 sano cilmi baaristaan aan wadnay. marka aniga ayadaba aan noqonay maxaan ku yiraahdaa howlgab ama retired aan noqonay ayaa waxaan fikirnay in aanan ka tegin waxyaabahan aan soo aruurinay iyo wixii anaga aan qornay oo intaas sano aan soo aruurinaynay inaan halkaan uga tegin, oo haddaan ka tagna qof naga dhexlaaya oo sii wadaayana nooma muuqato. marka waxaan fikirnay hawshii aan qabanayni in aan u gudbino Soomaali dhan ay ka faa'iidaysato. marka ayaan waxaan fikirnay inaan sameyno waxa la yiraahdo ma aragtay kaydka Soomaaliyeed ama Somali archive inaan sameyn. sababta aan u sameynayno waxay tahay sidaan hore baan u yiri yacni wixii Soomaaliya laga qoray oo horey mar hore la qoray iyo wixii dagaalka kadib la qoray. marka aan tegay xamar waxaan arkay baarlamaanka halkan kama muuqdo oo burbursan ahayd. markaan maray meeshaas oo dhulka la dhigay oo meel yar wax ka taagan aad iyo aad aan qalbi xumaaday. marka waxaan mar aan maqlay nin kastoo oday sidayda oo kale meesha maro oo arko waa ka naxaa, laakiin dhalinyaro da'diina ah marka ay arkaan odayaal dhahayo maxaa meeshaan saa loo yeelay waxay leeyihiin anagu sidaan leen arki jirnay, isagoo saa u burbursan leen arki jirnay. waxa aad la yaabaysaan maxaa waayo iyagu waxay dhasheen isagoo burbursan, laakiin annaga aan dhalanay ama ku noolaan jirnay meeshaas iyadoo sartaasoo meeshaasoo qurux leh aan arki jirnay. marka kaas waay farqiga aniga iyo idinka iyo ilmaha dhalinyarta maaragtay xamar ay ku dhasheen. aragtideen saasay u kala duwan tahay.
I have lived outside of Somalia more than I've lived inside of it, right? But Somalia is home. Mogadishu is home. Like nothing or nowhere else I've been can take that away. I was only 18, just turned 19 when I left Mogadishu. So I have lived outside of Somalia more years than inside. But then growing up in Mogadishu, being that little Somali girl in Mogadishu is what I have in me. And when in December 1990, the war broke, the first thing that hit me at a very sort of visceral level was, okay, I don't have the option of going home once a year anymore. Like I had that option. I would go home once a year, but that was taken away. So it's weird to say it, but it felt like, somebody kind of just removing the rug under your feet. It's like there is an entire you have no option now. You cannot go back because it's not safe to go back. So it was hard. It was hard. It was hard to get used to, and I went through a phase where I didn't want to hear the news. Once the Civil War broke, and we spent the first 4 or 5 months trying to locate who was where, right? Who made it out. Half of the family went to Kenya, half of them went to Ethiopia. So you constantly, that, first 6 months of 1991, was locating who survived, who went where. Memory is important because I've talked to people who would say, but we don't want to remember the bad things, right? But unless some people, not everybody, some people would want to remember the bad things so they can forgive, right? It's not so much forgetting. Nobody is going to forget whatever they have gone through because at a personal level you felt it, however you felt it. That's not going to go away. What would go away is maybe with time will heal is the pain, and then you make sense of it. You make sense of it. You didn't deserve it. And then you put a closure to it. So take that at a communal level then, at a societal level, at a neighborhood level, at a regional level, right? People will have to use memory and telling these stories so that they can heal.
I live in waiting. From the day that war broke out in my country, all communication have been cut off. I have no more news of my uncle and my cousin, and so, just as I do, my countrymen dispersed around the world to live waiting. It seems that all has stopped. No telephones, the postal service do not work, airplanes do not take off. It is as if we had fallen back in the Middle Ages. The only fragmentary news that we receive comes rebounding from mouth to mouth from those fortunate ones who are able to abandon the country. Drawing on these fragments, conjectures and interference are made trying to keep alive within us the hope for the survival of our loved ones. And so I continue to live in waiting, contenting myself with the rare television images that tear my heart apart. Hunger, death, ambushes, aid that arrives and the aid that does not arrive. After a few seconds, another story comes on, while I plunge into darkness inhabited by my fears, my memories and my hopes.